Hey guys, what's going on? It is Talk Force TV. We are back with another Red and White show. It is the second one in a couple of days. Obviously, a bit of news after came out. Just wanting to introduce Jack on my left.
Evening.
And below us, which probably sound a little bit one on every level, it's Luke.
Yes, I'm here again. I made the return on the first one, and I'm back again in quick succession.
Yeah, you're doing well.
I am doing well, aren't I, Dan?
Obviously, I want to talk about this new chief executive from Barnsley. There is Dane Murphy. Bit of background. Apparently, he ended his career when he was 30, and he worked at a couple of clubs abroad. Worked himself up from starting to technical director to chief executive. Which it's one of them ones. I think, obviously, with Ventilas saying that he'd consider it, and it's just the media putting two and two together. What you guys think?
Well, I think it's very well documented that Ventros isn't a popular guy within the fan base. So I think anybody that comes into that job would probably struggle to get a reputation worse than Ventros. That being said, it is still possible, and I err on the side of let's just wait and see what happens before we actually react on anything. Because although, yeah, it's great to react on every little bit of news that comes out, it could still turn out that Ventros is here for the start of the season. This new guy doesn't come in at all, and yeah, all the fuss has been kicked off about nothing then, really, isn't it?
And what do you think?
To be fair, Barnsley are in a decent position at the minute, to be fair. I mean, from where they were almost, getting relegated, staying up on the final day, to the transformation they saw last season. So there are worse clubs in worse positions to get CEOs from. So if it is true, and it does look like he is coming in, then, he's coming from a club who have seeming to get their feet right and heading in the right direction. So to get a CEO from a club who had such a good season last season, it could be a lot worse if it is going to happen.
Yeah, completely agree as well. I mean, even if he seemed to know the footballing side of things. I mean, he not just came from like a business and just came into Forest thinking, I can run this club.
Yeah, he's got. We don't want someone coming in who, like a bit like with Fawaz, he came in from a refrigeration company thinking, I know my way around a business. This will be easy. It's someone coming in, like you say, experienced. They know how to run a club. They've got the understanding of how football works, which I think's vital if you want a CEO or an owner these days.
Yeah, I think it is a hole that's been left since, was it Luke Dowling went to West Brom? And I think, no, I was director of football.
Yeah, that director of football.
So I got a bit confused there. So yeah, probably even further back then, CEO wise. But I mean, Ventros is obviously there now, but I mean, I don't remember a CEO that was actually that's been decent, because under Doughty it was Mark Arthur. We all know exactly what the fans' opinions were on him. Then Fawaz came in and didn't really have a CEO. And then obviously with Marinakis, it's been Ventros. So it'd be interesting to see if we could get somebody in that's decent, it'd actually make a change.
Would be nice.
I mean, it's not like he's at the club all the time as well. Because obviously, he's doing both jobs at both Olympiacos and Boris. So it's not like it's probably 24/7. Like where if he did get another CEO, he could be here full time.
Yeah,
I just like to. Sorry, Jack. Do you want to go first?
that's right. You do, yeah.
I just wanted to say that, to be honest, I don't really care who's in the background, because a club that's doing well, you don't hear about the people behind the scenes. They just work, and it just happens, and you just purely focus on what goes on the field and the transfers and all that happen. It's just kind of, that's what you focus on as fans. And I think the fact that for quite a long time, Forest fans had to focus on the people right at the top, it just shows that it's not really been well thought out. And I'd much rather be sat here and going, well, is this player coming in or is that player coming in, instead of talking about CEOs, directors of football, all those kind of positions, which really should just be kind of filled with people that know what they're doing and they do it well. That should be the aim for everyone.
I think you hear the most about those that do the bad job, like those that have, done some outrageous, like attempted, I don't know, money laundering effort or something like that. I don't know, but the ones like you say, we want someone who's just got the club in a safe pair of hands. They keep it ticking. They know what they're doing. They're not really in the public eye. They're just keeping themselves to themselves. And I think, like I'd never heard of this bloke at Barnsley. I'd never heard of their CEO. So that's a good sign. You don't want someone really coming in with reputation, because usually reputations for people like that aren't the greatest thing.
Can I throw a bit of news to you, Dan, that you may know, you may be touching on, or you may not? What do you know about Ryan Longman?
Obviously, I've seen it earlier. Not a lot, to be fair. All I think I knew was, when I seen it earlier, was he played for Wimbledon last season, and he's came from Brighton. That's all I know.
Yeah, never heard of him.
Well, yeah, that's the latest rumor I think that's been doing the rounds that obviously we didn't cover last time. I mean, if we're gonna get him in, I'm assuming he's a midfielder.
Yeah, it's a winger.
Okay, so he's a winger. So could that also play a part in the fact that we're looking at Joe Pigott?
Potentially,
From Wimbledon.
Could be, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, he has left Wimbledon as well, so Pigott, because he wanted to take up new challenges.
Yeah, I just think that if you get a player in that's been playing at a club, then you get the winger in as well and the striker from the same club, then they're going to know exactly how to play to that striker.
Yeah, they've got the understanding.
It's what we lacked last season. And without going too much on about last season, because I've tried to forget as much of it as humanly possible, the thing we lacked was there was hardly any understanding between any of the players on the field. Somebody would make a pass, and the other guy would stood there like, huh?
Yeah. I think a big loss, obviously, was Cash. The way Cash and Lolly linked up on the right-hand side, they just knew where each other was going to be. Lolly knew when to move in to allow Cash down the line, and missing like link-ups like that is, something that obviously last season was a huge loss. So bringing in two players who, if we are, who know each other, who've had at least a season of full first-team football together, could be what we need. Just like that, sort of a bit more team cohesion, a bit more like understanding of where each other is likely to be.
Another question before we move on. Do you think our first signing will come after the 1st of July? When contracts have officially finished with players and the next kind of... That's when usually most teams make signings after the contract end date.
Yeah.
I won't put it past you. I mean, I know the transfer window has opened, but I can't see many clubs doing business now unless if they do like the paperwork side of things, because a lot of players will be on, well, I'll say holiday, but they won't be on holiday, but they'll be having...
Do you know as well, the other thing is, not many teams are making signings apart from the bottom 2 leagues, where it literally has exploded. I mean, usually not a lot happens until July, so you're sitting there bored waiting for something to happen. This time when there's a Euros tournament on, so it's taking everyone's attention away. Every one of the league clubs in the bottom 2, I think, well, not everyone, but most of them have at least made a signing. It's madness. Literally, I wanted to cover the transfer window on my channel. Little plug, it's Turn Towards Football if you haven't checked it out.
It's right. And there.
But with the Euros and everything else, like, well, how do you cover everything? I mean, I'm going to end up at some point having to do just a whole show to round up everything that's been missed over this past month and a bit, because, my God, the signings that have been moved around in the bottom 2 tiers is crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
I tell you something, signing of the window so far, Scott Twine from Swindon to MK.
Yes, I mean, decent deal.
Yeah. I mean, the MK Dons do know how to get a sign in.
Yeah, they've got a good history of selling players on as well. Like you see, Dele Alli, prime example. You know, Patrick Bamford, I think, MK Dons as well for a bit. So they've got links in to get players in. So yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm not really the biggest fan of MK Dons, but they know how to do the transfer business.
Yeah.
Just a warning, Dan. If you do one of these after the first transfer, and it's Sam Clucas or somebody of that age, just prepare yourself to be live for about half an hour at least, because it'll just light my touch paper and I'll just go.
It'll be gone. Yeah.
If you like DT went off AFTV.
When's it gonna end, Dan? When's it gonna end?
Yeah. I'd be like doing it. It's time to go.
I think if we can look to bring in, because obviously there's been quite a few rumours of players in the sort of League One kind of area. If we can get players in like that, I think like players who've got a point to prove, rather than getting in these players who are winding down their contracts, coming to the end. I think last season was a prime example. We brought in players like Blackett and Taylor who have experience this league. We got them on a cheap, didn't really work. We need to change the focus now. And looking at some of these players, like Jerry Yates and Wyke and players like that, I think that could be the right avenue to go down, and a really exciting route if we can do that.
Yes, and I'd also like to see us not make so many Diallo, Basharu, Guerrero, Yarnu type transfers that confuse all fans. They spend half their time watching YouTube videos. They look all right on YouTube. They go into the Forest side, or not go in the Forest side in Jallo and Basharu's case, and just not look up to the Championship. I mean, I always work on a principle that if you sign a player from lower down in the League 2 or League 1, at least then they know that the next league is going to be more physical than the league they've just come from. Whereas if you're signing from a foreign team, they don't have not all players, but some players don't seem to adapt to the physicality straight away. And for a team that want to aim for promotion, again, that'll be the aim for next season, as it is for every season. We need to be smart And I think that's why we haven't made a signing yet, because we're trying to be smart on the players we get in. Saying that, we started the last transfer window. Well, I didn't even thinking that, and we signed Jack Holback first.
I did actually, to be fair.
Yeah. I was seeing these players come in and I was like, oh, he's on a free. That's a decent bit of business. He knows the Championship. We've had him before on loan, and it looks like the Colback we got was totally different to the one we had on loan. And you look at these players, you try and pick out, oh, he's got experience, he knows his way around this league. We're just clutching for anything good about it, and ultimately they're just majority, like 9 times out of 10, is a player that just gets moved on, or every fan moans when they see them in the first team.
Yeah.
You see, for me, the issue wasn't the fact they had experience in the Championship, because that's great. You can get players like Alex Mower that have had experience in the Championship and be pretty effective. The difference is Arter, Graben to a degree. I know we didn't sign him last season, but I'll put him into this category. Freeman, Knockhart, Christie, they've all been at a club that have been in the Premier League. They've achieved it. They've got to the Premier League. So the ambition level isn't the same as somebody like Dion Charles or Aki that hasn't been in the Premier League before, that wants to reach it. The ambition's not the same. And that's what confused me when we signed Jack Colback. My frustration wasn't with signing Jack Colback, because I thought if you'd signed Jack Colback later on in the window and you'd backed it up first with players that hadn't been in the Premier League, then yeah, that's great. You need experience in your side. People that have been there. But it's when you were going overkill and getting one after another, after another, after another. And the two clubs it reminded me of was when Sheffield Wednesday did it and when Derby did it. They bought highly aged players from the Premier League on really high wages, and it didn't work.
You're all right about that, dude.
I think you look at Brentford. I think you look at Brentford and just how they brought in like Watkins from Exeter. They brought in, Tony from Peterborough. Players that had, Tony was at Newcastle but never really got anywhere near the first team. Players who they want to be on that stage. They believe that they belong there, rather than they know they've already been there, so they don't really need to get there again. They're happy doing what they're doing in the Championship. I think, it's really important what you said. I never really thought about it that way. You need those players who haven't been on that stage, who want to get there, who want to take the club there and want to be part of a project, not rather than players who want to just pick up a couple of pay packets and they're just sort of, it'd be nice to get back to the Premier League, but they've done it before, so they don't really need to do that. I think we need players like the club who haven't been in the Premier League for a very long time or never been in it for some of these players, and we need them, the hunger and the desire to match what the fans want with these new players coming in. I think that would be huge if we could do that.
Do you know what the other thing is with both Brentford and Peterborough? What they do so well? They sell a player like Ollie Watkins to Villa. Instantly, they know their next player to play in that position was Ivan Toney.
Yeah.
Ben Rama, they knew that when he went, they could play Sergi Canos out there. And then they got in somebody else to play in the midfield, so Canos could just run down that side. Peterborough, exactly the same. They lose Ivan Toney. They went and got Johnson Clark-Harris. They have a plan. They don't sell a player until they identify the next player to fit that position. When we sold Matty Cash, we surely did not think, as soon as Matty Cash was going, that Cyrus Christie was going to be the answer.
Yeah.
Because if we did,
so we're just scrambling around.
Yeah,
scrambling around for it. Yeah.
Because if somebody thought Christie was the answer, then whoever that is needs to have a look at themselves in the mirror, because it wasn't a successful answer.
But yeah, do you think that? Then I know going back on the old topic, and it's that where you think that's what we do when we are restructuring the club, so we can be a lot more better in terms of transfers, or we are trying to change our philosophy.
I think it's more a fact that you need to restructure the top to be able to restructure the kind of middle. You can have good owners like Marinakis, but Marinakis is going to be at Olympiakos for about 75% of the time. So then, after that musical interlude, you then got obviously Randall, that's technically chairman, and then your CEO, your kind of director of football, if we actually have one. Then you've got Modesto, who's the recruitment guy. They all need to work as a kind of unit with Houghton. There's no point in you having Ventros kind of versus X person versus Y person, because then it doesn't work. The divisions don't work, because then it just creates kind of unnecessary friction. How do you think that Barnsley work? I'm assuming all of them are smooth at the top, which means that Ishmael, when he came in from taking over from Struber, was able to come in, look at his squad, go, I need a player in X position, I need a player in Y position, go to the board, I need this, let the recruit team find the players, go, we found you this player, he comes in, bump, Daryl DK, came in, made an instant impact, they were in the playoffs. We probably had about 5 different lists, and all of them probably had he's 30 plus, he's 30 plus. I mean, I didn't mind us signing Glenn Murray, but in the end, was it really the right decision? Because you got half a season out of him, where you could have got somebody in that had more of an impact. That's the sort of thing for me. If you're signing players like Murray and Arter and Freeman, then they either have to make an impact and you're sure that you're going to be able to get it out of them, or find somebody that's a younger version that it doesn't matter if, say, I don't know, you get a young lad in from Plymouth, let's say. Because then, if he's in the first season, he doesn't quite do it, or he's just getting there, the next season, because he's been in there and he's learned the squad, and the squad are all around the same sort of time. Bigger example, Blackpool. They built a squad throughout the season, so that next season, although they've let a few go, the majority and the core of that squad is still going to be probably the squad that starts the championship season, and they'll know each other. And the best thing about Blackpool is, and here's a Lee Charles thing for you, fact for you, Dan. When players go to Blackpool, they don't really have much of a choice than to move to Blackpool.
Yeah, no.
And they're all around each other. So they get to know each other. And it comes back to that point I was making about the Wimbledon guys. If your team knows each other and understands what each other are going to do, then if someone makes a mistake in centre-back, your other centre-back is more than likely going to be able to go into the position and clean it up.
Yeah.
which wasn't there either last season because we had about 5 different centre back pairings by about game week 7.
And that was that Powell and McKenna playing
Well,
together.
Well, we started with Figueiredo and somebody. Then it was one game Mbeso and Blackett. Then the Huddersfield game, the whole back four changed. I mean, it was a car crash, to say the least. Anyway, I digress.
think that you've got it's more of a group of individual players rather than a squad. Like it just looks like some of the players. They're just, I don't know, it's like a bunch of players been put together rather than, like you're saying, at sort of Blackpool, they have players that they're maybe not the best player that they could play, but they know the players around them. They know their role. They can do their job. Whereas at Forest, it just looked like they're just a bunch of players who had been picked together and just thrown together rather than having squad unity and, like you say, understanding of where if someone's out of position, someone else could shuffle along, get in there for them. And I don't know, you just don't really have that sort of. There's a few players like Worrell's one of them, and there's like Yates and some of the academy players, but some of those new players that you brought in, they don't really look like they've really involved in the squad. They just look like they're there and just doing what they can to try and put in a good performance. I guess they're doing what they can to. They anticipate where to be rather than having that unity of knowing where to be within the squad, which was quite evident in some of the performances you saw last season.
I think the other key thing with Blackpool, and this is turning more into let's just analyse every club in the division instead of just talking about Forest, but anyway, that's what happens when you get me on.
You did well.
Blackpool, if you don't want to be there, they look to get rid. Whereas with us, we have players until they're about 7 or 8 years into stagnation before we get rid of them. We look at Zach Clough. We held on to him for so long as he went to Wigan, and my Wigan guy was going, well, who is he? Like, why? Like, where's he been? And was this the same guy that was at Bolton? And how has he now gone so downhill?
Yeah.
And we
so much hype.
We did that by basically draining all of the confidence out of him by just dropping him randomly when Karanka came in.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise when that was. And Valios as well, especially with his pre-season and all that. But doing like every game to like not featuring. Going on to that director of football one, I think they haven't got a director of football. I just think they've got like several different people that does different things. Like instead of having like one director of football, they've got Gary Basil's that director of the academy sort of thing. Then got another one, technical director, I can't remember his name for like the signings and all that. So I think we got instead of having one, we got quite a few people doing different sort of roles. Remember right?
Yeah, I think that's okay, but they all need to be on the same page. They all need to work together, have the same aim, rather than all coming up with their own sort of, this is how I think it should be done. Somebody else has a slightly different idea. Somebody else has a different idea. You need, like you say, with some of these lower league clubs or like Barnsley, I guess they've all got the goal. They've all been brought in because they all match the philosophy. I look at Forest, don't really know what the philosophy is. Like, I remember after we played Norwich at home, I just looked at them and looked at some of their players they brought in. Like, they let go of Jamal Lewis and brought in this bloke from Greece that no one's ever heard of, and he was absolutely, he was brilliant against us. They have an actual, like, a style, a set sort of pathway they want to go down. At Forest, I couldn't tell you what it is, like, unless it's just signing players who are 30 plus and hoping they can do a job for a couple of seasons. But other than that, like, I don't know where the club's aiming, their philosophy, what page everyone within the club's on, whether they know What the next person wants or what the next person's aiming to do, I don't know. But I think someone needs to come in, or someone within the club now needs to sit the board down and really try and hammer in a philosophy and get everyone working in tandem, everyone doing their own bit rather than just, I don't know, just picking whoever's on a free and hoping they just do a good job and, scuffling around for whatever they can get their hands on. They need an actual plan. And I think you see why Norwich are in the Premier League again. They didn't let go of Farker. They kept the same recruitment system. They kept the same players. They got straight back up. It just looks like every other season we're getting rid of 10 players and bringing 10 players in. And the players we're getting rid of, like Ribeiro, shouldn't be leaving. They're the players that we want that kind of player, rather than some of the players like Blackett who are still around.
Now, I'm going to keep this brief, and I'm going to try and lead it into asking Dan a question. But I just want to make the point to you first, Jack, that although we let Ribeiro go, and yes, probably keeping him ahead of Blackett would probably be the preferable answer, I do think, I said it on Friday to Dan, if you're thinking that Amiobi, Sal, and Ribeiro to get you promoted, then I think it's a bit of a kind of mistaken judgment now, because we've tried before with these players, and I think it's just time to move on. I think if you want to be mid-table in the Championship or top half, then yeah, they're probably all right. But I think you could do a bit more. I think just scout players, and I mean, I wanted Josh Ruffles before I went to Huddersfield. I was gutted when he went to Huddersfield. But get an English left back in that's up and coming and see how it works. Huddersfield seems to be just buying every good player of them now, I think. They've got Ollie Turton on the other side from Blackpool as well. So they'll be good in defence next season. Anyway, is there much more news, Dan?
Very quiet, Bob. What obviously the guy from Brentford, what we spoke about, and can't pronounce his name to save my life. Longburn and Charlie White looking like he's going to Celtic, which we expected. Well, that it's really quiet, but we should seem to be looking at probably likely League One players that got something to prove in the next level, and it's really quiet.
Well, I suppose then dragging this out to 33 minutes-ish is pretty decent. I've managed to do it twice, talk you into a really, really huge episode.
It should start your own chat show on RTV now. But yeah, it is good because obviously there are a lot more that we have said that need to build philosophy and everything. So outside of that there's a lot. I mean, for it to go this long, go show that there's a lot more things that we would like to see at Forest.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just before you round it up, I just want to do a quick plug for something else while I'm here. FIFA Factory. It's basically a competition which you can enter at the start of new seasons, or they have dropouts midway through. There is a waiting list at the moment, blah blah. But anyway, it's basically if you play FIFA and you want to play a kind of non-toxic version of online kind of FIFA, then this is great because you get entered into a league and you play about, I think, between 8 and 10 games a season, kind of doubled because you play each team twice. There's promotion, relegation, and you do get matched with your ability. I mean, depending on how the last time you did play FIFA or how good you are, it can vary. I've been terrible so far. I was bottom of the bottom league with minus 138 goal difference with Forest, so I changed teams to Aston Villa. Anyway, But yeah, just a plug to check them out if you're interested or anybody else is interested that watches the video. We're always looking for kind of new people because we had to drop a league this season because of inactives. So yeah, anybody that's interested, just give them a check out. And if you can't find it, check me out on social media, Turf and Talks Football for my page at Luke865210, I believe, on Twitter. And I'll invite the person to the page, etc., etc. But yes, anyway, I'm done plugging.
Yeah, the only other bit of news that really came out was that obviously we spoke about in the thingy that that Emmanuel that will tip to win it, the race for him, but it looks like Barnsley. I've set to Luke's favourite team. Could beat us. So,
My favorite team. Wait, which favorite team is this, Dan?
Barnsley.
Oh, Barnsley.
Yeah,
Right.
with a Scouse accent.
All right.
But yeah, and that's it. Thank you to Jack and Luke for coming on,
Not a
Yeah,
problem.
thanks, John.
and Luke for both of you for giving a good debate about obviously the club and all that. So, and that's it. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Ta-ra.